I went through a period of absolutely hating him, and I was a mess. I wasn't sleeping. I passed out a few times. I wasn't eating at all.
Yeah.
And I was in a real mess. But that was when I was desperately fighting to get him back. But I'm saying I'm perfect, obviously, but I genuinely can't say. And actually, I've never asked him this question, saying why. Why? And I've actually, that's so weird that you say it, because I've never said why. Why did you do it?
Yeah.
You know.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to the show. I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good.
Excited.
So lovely to have you here. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on All Things Identity.
No problem.
So, I mean, we've only known each other for a very short time, but...
Feels like we've known each other forever
it
already.
Does actually feel like that. But I think when we first spoke, I explained to you All Things Identity and the purpose behind the podcast, and to really kind of show different stories that have challenged our identities in some way and show how we've been able to come through the other side. Yeah. And I think as soon as I heard your story, I was blown away by, I think, how compelling it is from an identity perspective, but and also the journey you've been through, but also I think just how much, sadly, it resonates with a lot of women and men out there who've been through a similar situation to you. So without further ado, I would love it if you could just give us a little bit of an overview of yourself and your journey.
Okay, well, my name's Joanne Jones. I have lived in the UAE for 9 years. I'm the mother of 2 of the most amazing girls on the planet, who are 17 and 13. I know I don't look old enough. And I work now for a design firm in the UAE, and just my journey is crazy. There's a lot of sadness, but now I've come out the other side feeling a lot happier, more positive. So yeah.
So should we start from when you moved to the UAE?
Yeah.
So, because we've spoken a little bit about your story, and I think things started to change for you after you landed in the UAE. So tell us about that period.
Yeah, so we came here as a family. I gave up my job to come and look after the girls. The girls were 8 and 4 then. So we agreed that, you know, from a partnership point of view, I'd look after the children for a few years. Okay. And that probably stayed too long. I did a bit of freelance work with our good friend Kelly. Did a few other things with people, and but probably stayed at home way too long. Tried a few things, didn't work. My husband at the time travelled a lot, not so much in the earlier years, but the latter years a lot. So the buck stops with me, right? You know, when you're here, I've got amazing group of friends. They know who they are. They've picked me up and carried me, literally. But yeah, you're kind of on your own, and you've got to be independent to look after the girls. That's the thing. So there wasn't really that opportunity for me to flourish, I think.
So how did that impact you personally?
I became very, very depressed. Not in the first 5 years of living here, maybe 6 years. You know, we had a great time. We did the usual, come into Dubai, do everything, go and see everything, take the girls to see everything. And it was the best thing to come here. In the UK, we were kind of going like that because he was traveling all the time. And it brought us back together. And I can remember my little one on maybe about the 3rd or 4th night, she turned and she went, Mummy, Daddy, you're both here for dinner. And we were like, looked at each other and we were like, yeah, this was the right decision. And we were really, really happy. And it's definitely been, I mean, UAE has my heart. It's where I want to be. I, do not want to move. But yeah, then slowly he took on another job and the traveling got more and more. And of course, then you become lonely, boredom, and I just started eating, really. I guess that's probably what it was. You're bored, you're a housewife. The pivotal moment for me was one day, it sounds really depressing, but just mopping the kitchen floor thinking, God, is this my life? Is this now what, you know, we live in the most beautiful city in the world, in my opinion. You know, it's got so much to offer, so much to do, and I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And he'd come home. I'm not going to knock him from a work point of view. He works incredibly hard, way too hard to the detriment of probably our marriage at the end of the day. But yeah, I became very lonely, very depressed, and I kind of go into myself. My friends back home, there's two, Emma and Nikki, all know. I go into myself and I'm like, I don't need any help, don't need anybody, and then I get more and more depressed. Yeah. And yeah, I turned to food because I was just bored, I think. And I ballooned, literally ballooned. Yeah. So yeah, became, not myself. I've always been fiercely independent. My late, gorgeous, amazing dad used to say, if you're going to do a job, do it properly, do it well, and get it done. And I kind of was thinking, well, what job am I doing? The girls are now old enough to look after themselves. Yeah. To a degree, you know, they need me as an Uber, you know? Yeah. And of course they need mum as well. But I'm not doing anything for me. What job am I doing? What am I doing while I'm getting it done? You know, what am I doing for me? Yeah. And I think that was kind of the pivotal moment, really.
And I think a lot of people go through that. I myself have been through that kind of situation where you don't want to turn to help because you think that you can figure it all out. Yeah. And then what happens is that obviously you can't. And that would have been the best thing if you could have done that. But so do you look back on that time now and wish that you had maybe reached out?
I think I wish I'd have probably stood my ground a bit more and said, do you know what, I didn't need to do more for me. And now the person that I am is the person that I used to always be, who is fiercely independent, who is strong, who is resilient, who, reaches out for help and isn't afraid to say, do you know what, guys, I can't cope now. I need some help around here. And my friends, especially here, and one of my bestest friends, Yvonne, is moving over here. I'll reach out for help as and when I need it. And I've needed my girlfriends the last few months, 6 months or more. Yeah.
So let's talk about your relationship with your husband as well, because clearly that plays a role. You said that you were, on the one hand, spending a lot more time together as a family unit, but then he was also travelling and he was leaving you to be like the sort of sole. Yeah.
And I think he'd probably openly admit that, you know, we kind of used to say, you know, he'd bring in the money, I'd do everything else, but doing everything else isn't overly fulfilling, you know, cleaning the house and mopping floors and stuff all the time. And, you know, that's not me. And I guess, the travel and the constant time away took a huge pivotal role in our breakdown. Yeah. Because if you're not together, how are you going to work as a couple? You know, you're going to go in different directions. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So then how did your relationship continue to evolve after that?
So he was travelling all the time, pretty much. And then he'd come home absolutely shattered. And he'd been working non-stop and, you know, and then I'd be itching to do stuff and like, come on, let's take the girls out. Let's go and do something. Let's go and have some fun. Oh, I'm just shattered. Okay. So then and I can remember one day going in the garden and just laying by the pool and, just pulling my cap down over my eyes and just crying and just thinking, this isn't right. But you feel, I think this will resonate with a lot of expat, well, men and women. You feel trapped because you can't just say, do you know what? I'm so unhappy. Because you're here and you're here under his sponsor, his visa, his everything. So you do feel like you can't get out. Yeah. Yeah. So in a way, kind of what happened broke me free. Which is kind of...
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I can understand what you're talking, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of people here who are very much dependent on their partner from a financial perspective, from a visa perspective. So,
and that's really challenging. I never was back home.
And it impacts your identity, right?
Yeah,
Did you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I used to work in recruitment. I had my own business back home. I was, as I said, fiercely independent. And then I came here to follow his dream, really, quite willingly and quite happily at the time, but didn't realise that was to the detriment of me. Yeah. You know?
And during this period as well, because you just spoke about the fact that you had been comfort eating or emotionally eating, and there'd been some depression, and clearly the two of you as well were kind of having this. I don't want to drop my iPad, but you're having this kind of knocking effect of not being able to butting heads, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, butting heads completely, because I was looking for something different to what he was.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, neither of us, because we've been together 23 years, you know, it's half my life. I'm 46 years old.
Yeah.
Neither of us were brave enough to say this isn't working.
Okay.
And he openly admitted that. He said, I was a coward.
Did you talk about it at all, though, at this point? Did you have that conversation? No.
Because you get stuck in a rut, right?
Yeah.
So he's just travelling. I'm doing what I'm doing. The girls are happy. They're oblivious to anything that's... But I was as well. I think I was so immersed in looking after the girls and making him happy and making sure, and him making me happy as well, you know, that we actually realised that we weren't.
Yeah.
Sounds like a complete contradiction in terms, doesn't it? You know, you're trying, but actually you're going completely the opposite way. So, yeah, so I just lost me really completely. And just, I look back on the photos of what I look like, and I used to look in the mirror and think, yeah, I definitely need to lose weight. But I don't know, you sort of get to the next stone bracket and think, oh, that's okay. And you get to the next one and think, oh God, well, this is all right now. And then it just keeps going.
Yeah.
To the point then, the first part of last year, I was lucky enough to have a balloon with a clinic here, which unfortunately didn't last, because then I lost my dad in June.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, that took a massive knock-on effect. So,
sorry.
No, it's just, yeah, he was definitely... We said about the tissues, didn't we?
We did, yeah. That's why they're there.
My dad was like my biggest supporter, biggest influence in my life for sure. And I know right now, like, I'm not overly spiritual, but the last 6 months, I know he's here with me saying, if you're going to do a job, do it well, do it properly and get it done.
Bless you.
And I think that's what's given me the strength for sure, and given my girls the strength to move forward and say, do you know what? I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to let this completely change me and get me back to exactly who I am today.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a massive part. It's been a massive loss. But my mum's been incredible. I mean, gosh, she literally rang my eldest and said, right, we need to book a holiday. She kept going on about booking a holiday, and I was really horrible to her. And I said, Mum, I can't deal with booking a holiday right now. And then she literally phoned my eldest and said, right, I've got this, Greece, all inclusive, let's go. What do you think Mum will think? And she said, book it. And then she rang me and she said, I don't want anything for it. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to come. And it's what your daddy would want.
Yeah.
And of course, burst into tears. Aww. She burst into tears. So yeah, we've got a good summer planned. We've got an exciting summer planned.
Oh.
So yeah. So it's, yeah.
So tell us, because we've sort of talked around the topic a little bit, that your marriage has broken down.
Yeah.
What actually happened at that point?
So it completely broke down. And I knew probably latter part of last year after losing my dad, we went back home to the UK. I stayed in the UK for 2.5 months, just making sure Mum was all right, everything was okay, stayed with the girls. He left quite quickly after my dad's funeral, and then... Your
husband, this is?
Yeah, he left to go travelling.
Okay.
And then we came back, and I knew there was a shift, like a real shift. There was something not right. We were completely disconnected then.
Okay.
Completely. And I mean, in every which way.
And he'd been gone for how long? Sorry, because your father's just died at this point, and you were obviously very close, so...
Yeah, I mean, he went like a couple of days after the funeral, I think. It was literally like a couple of days afterwards. But, you know, you're in that... And this is where I now realise, like, that strength was still within me, because it was like... I always say, my mum and I joke, I said, I parked Dad. And she goes, oh, gosh, where did you park him? Like, we joke about it. Like, we can laugh about it now. And I know he'd be laughing. Because I was just really concerned about my mum. Like, my dad did everything for Mum. They were that classic couple that, you know, my dad just looked after her.
Yeah.
And all I cared about was getting Mum through it and getting everything sorted. You know, getting the garden sorted, getting the house, getting everything, making sure the girls were okay. And then came back after 2.5 months and just... broke down. But that's when I then met this amazing nutritionalist, Maria. I don't know her actually.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
Maria Monman. And she just put this post on Facebook saying, I need 6 case studies for 6 weeks. And I just immediately replied. It was like my dad saying, do it. Just get on with carrying on, you know, evolving and changing and losing that weight, which was the biggest part of my confidence.
Yeah.
And I met Maria and she said 2 things, and I hope she watches. I'll tell her to watch it. She said, not today. And after 7 o'clock, when's your worst time? And I said, after 7 o'clock, after the kids, you know, done the food. And then I said, then I just carry on eating.
Yeah.
She said, right, no more food after 7. And keep saying every time you go for the bad snacks, not today, not today.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a week, it becomes 2 weeks, it becomes a month. And then then I've very proudly done it myself, and I'm 36 kilos lighter. And yeah, I'm back to me, for sure.
Incredible. Amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
So let's go back to the point though with your father had passed.
Yeah.
And then you came back and you hadn't seen your husband for several months.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like?
I think I was in complete denial that there was obviously a serious problem, but
yeah,
I think then the grief took over.
Okay.
In a way, you know, like I hadn't grieved my dad.
Yeah.
But then I also, again, parked him again because I thought, hang on, something's not right. And then we got to the latter part of the year and I found out why. Found out that he had an affair, and then he admitted, you know, he wasn't in love with me anymore.
Okay.
And I fought for a couple of months. And then it was kind of like, hang on. It was actually my mum's cousin they grew up together, like more like sisters. I've always called her Auntie Mandy. And she said it happened to her. So I knew. And I actually messaged her and she said, if he was to walk back in tomorrow, would you take him back? And I said, no. And she went, right, flick off that switch and never put it back on again.
Wow.
And from that moment on, I was like, no, do you know what? I don't want to go back to that life. I don't want to go back to that. He doesn't either. It's not right especially for our girls.
Yeah.
Like, and now, you know, 8-9 months on, we're out the other side, and yeah, we're amicable for the girls. My girls are incredible. My eldest has just got into the London Marathon, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
She's
amazing.
continued smashing her college life.
Yeah.
My little one took a massive dip. And it was really, really hard, really hard.
Yeah.
But she's out the other side now. And she actually said to me in the car the other day, she said, Mummy, I think you and Daddy are better off separated and not together. Because she said, you seem so much happier. And I said, I am, baby. And I said, but we'll always be a family.
Yeah.
And this is what I said to him. I said, I forgive you, but I won't forget. But it releases my burden and hatred towards you to allow me to heal and move on.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And to be better parents for the girls.
Yeah.
And I think that's our main focus. That's all that matters to me are the girls.
Yeah.
And my friends and my family, you know. And
it's quite an admirable way to be able to look at it as well, right? Because if we think about, so we look back at last year and the number of things that happened to you, and then, you know, for you to have that breakdown of trust with him as well, when you've just lost your father, who you're extremely close to, you're trying to do everything that you can to support your mother, which is completely understandable. But you've also just spent a number of years as well where you've not really put yourself first at all. And, you know, you've had this period where you've lost your confidence and sorry, I'm making you cry, but
no, you're not making
sort
me
of
cry.
summarizing
it's so
it
true.
Because it's, I am in awe of you. I can only begin to imagine how it must feel to have a partner who, you know, abuses your trust like that, but also after having gone through so much. And, you know, you've gone through so much with him and, you know, and then there's so much else that's happened to you from a personal perspective. I just think you're in a really commendable, strong place now, given all of that. Really, you are. Honestly, I just think
I said to one of my 2 closest friends here, there's loads. Actually, I'm not going to mention them by name because there's too many. But 2 in particular, I said to them, it's like living with a stranger now
Yeah.
who has all my best memories. So it's like, but no, it's not. I'm okay with that now, because without him, we wouldn't have our 2 girls.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what you have to. And don't get me wrong, I went through a period of absolutely hating him, and I was a mess. I wasn't sleeping. I passed out a few times. I wasn't eating at all.
Yeah.
And I was in a real mess. But that was when I was desperately fighting to get him back. And he kept saying, you know, we keep talking, let's keep talking, this hope. And friends, mutual friends of ours back home said, as long as you're talking, you know, you'll get through. And then the one day when he just said, I just don't love you anymore. And I was like, I think it was like a massive, and then he went away for 2 weeks. That was it. And then I kind of thought, is he still carrying on? Is he, and I think I know the answer to that, which I don't really want to go into really. But then I just thought, do you know what? I wasn't happy anyway. So what am I actually fighting for? What am I fighting for? I'm fighting to be unhappy. And it was quite funny. And Kelly was one of these people. I just sent a text to all, and I said to my badass boss bitch friends, has anybody got anything work-wise? And this was like, I was still like, God, I mean, this was early on in the year. And my friend came back to me and said, yeah, do you know this InDesign? I said, no, but I can learn it. I can learn it. Give me a week. I'll do it. And now I've got this amazing job working in this amazing company with people I absolutely love. And yeah, it's kind of, it's such a weird thing, because it's like, it's the worst and best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, without it, I'd still be miserable, really.
Yeah.
And he would as well. Yeah. And all I want is us both to be happy, to be good parents to the girls, and to make sure they're happy and they know they've got 2 stable, happy parents.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's taken, my friend says to me, the North Star, keep looking at the North Star, you know, keep taking the moral high ground. And yeah, I've shouted, I've called him every name under the sun, but that doesn't help me. It doesn't help me heal. And like I said, you know, unburden yourself of that. Otherwise you carry that burden all the time. Sounds really cliched, but it's so true.
I think it was also very gracious of you at the time to continue talking, to have those conversations with him, you know, given the fact that he has done what he's done. I feel like for you to continue talking to him, and then he turned around and said that he doesn't love you anymore. How did that make you feel? I think I'd feel really indignant about that.
Do you know what? The amount of people that said, how did you not just smack him in the face? And I'm like, look, at the end of the day, we both weren't happy. And now I can look back and think, well, to do something like that. And a lot of people have said, if anybody was going to have the affair, Jo, we would have thought it was you. And as they've said that, they've gone, actually, no, we've taken that straight back, because that wouldn't have been you. You'd never have done that. You'd never have done that to your family. And I think that's the point. It's like, there's got to be a point where, well, that happens for a reason, right? It happens because we're not happy. Yeah. But I think I was so caught up in this bubble of keeping the marriage together, keeping the family together. We live here in the UAE. We know we've got to be together. It's all got to be perfect. And it wasn't at all. Yeah. But I was oblivious to it. And oblivious is probably completely the word. I had that complete, oblivious to everything that was going on. Completely. You know, I thought he was going away and working hard, and he was a lot of the time, but he was also probably going away and doing other stuff as well. But
do you feel like, looking back at that time as well, that there's something else that you could have done differently on the lead up?
I genuinely not that I'm saying I'm perfect, obviously, but I genuinely can't say. And actually, I've never asked him this question, saying why. Why? And I've actually, that's so weird that you say it, because I've never said why. Why did you do it? Yeah. You know, I probably have, and he's probably skirted around it. But no, God, I was the doting wife who did everything, supported him wholeheartedly. And everybody knows that. You know, our house is, I've got serious OCD. Our house is immaculate. You know, it's like, I just got caught up in that. And then I look back and think, oh my God, you know, so no, how do you force somebody to change and come home and want to go and do stuff and want to go out? And, you know, we'd go on brunches with friends and he'd be like, should we leave now? And I'm a party girl. I enjoy, you know, I enjoy socialising. I'm not, when I say party girl, I love socialising. I love my friends, you know. And we're polar opposites. Everybody said that from the beginning. And we are. And we both admit that. But it really became apparent.
Okay.
And I think that's where.
And people change as well, right, over time. Because sometimes you get to, and you were clearly together for a very long time. So do you think maybe you both changed as well? And
absolutely.
You started to grow apart?
Absolutely. And definitely. It's all work, it's all money, it's all from that perspective, which, okay, you need, of course you do. But my Uncle John used to say to me, the greatest gift that you can give your kids is time, right?
Yeah.
We all need money, of course we do. I'm not under any illusion that we can live without it, of course. And the greatest gift to give each other is time.
Yeah.
And we weren't giving each other any of that.
Yeah.
And then we just became completely disconnected. And I wasn't independent. That was the trouble. I was completely dependent on him until I came out the other side and realised, no, do you know what? You can do it on your own.
Yeah.
You're bloody strong. You're very resilient. You're your father's daughter in every which way, shape or form. And I feel much, much happier. And the girls are happier now. They're my little warriors completely.
Oh.
And everybody says, like, you know, they're warriors because they've got a mama who's a warrior. And I think, do you know what? They're right. And I'm proud of that fact.
Yeah.
I'm proud that they're happy. And my eldest, my God, I mean, crikey, I don't know. Both of them are incredible. They're both incredible. But my eldest literally took on the role. She wants to go into the UK police when she grows up.
Oh,
and
my
I was like,
gosh.
oh my God. But at the first I was like, how on earth? I said, oh God, now I'm scared for the criminals in the UK.
Yeah.
Because when my daughter comes along, God, they're going to know it. She's taken on the adult role of looking after me, probably way too much. And now it's like, right, baby, now it's my turn. You know? I want you to have the best year of your life before you go off to uni. And then you'll have the best 3 years of your life. And it's all about... It's not all about them, because I think that's what it was all about. And of course, my 2 girls are the most important thing in my life. But I need to be happy.
Yeah.
To be happy, for them to be happy. And if I'm miserable and sad, they're never going to move forward, are they?
Do you think they've noticed that change in you? Because it does sound like, you know, at one point you were really, really low. Yeah. Then they've obviously, you know, they've seen the change that you've gone through. So do you think that they look back and they were... perhaps sad for mum, happy for mum now?
Yeah, my eldest said to me, Mummy, I'm so proud of you. Like, coming through what you've come through. And, like, for her, losing her granddad. For both of them, like, every night before he went to bed, he'd send them a text so they woke up the next morning. And I didn't realise it was every single night. So for them to go through that and then go through... what we've been through as a family and come out the other side strong. Yeah. God, women empowerment, girl power.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like massively. I'm so proud of them. And I'm proud of myself, you know? And no, I'll never go back there.
That strength and resilience though, that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Did that come through straight away, or did you feel...
No, God, no.
I'm thinking about the place that you were in before, and it's, like I said before, it's really impressive that you were able to pull this strength through. So how did you feel?
God, no, not at the beginning. I was a complete and utter mess, and I just thought, why? You know, why would you do that to us? Why would you do that to your perfect family? You know, we're the most 2 beautiful girls. And you know, it's ironic, isn't it? Because I like go, hang on, I've probably looked the best I've looked in years. You know, not like being big-headed, but
so you'd already started your journey at this point as well, right?
Yeah, I started it last year, like last February. So, but it's not a looks thing, is it? It's not about that. It's about what's inside there. So no, I was a complete and utter mess. It came as the biggest shock. But now I look back and I think it's not a shock, because I realised how miserable I was as well. But as I said before, in the denial thing. But yeah, I was a complete and utter mess. I probably say for 2 months solid, I drank way too much wine, to the point where my eldest actually said to me when my mum booked the holiday, I don't think you'll be coming with us to Greece, Mum. I think you might be going to rehab at this rate. And I was like, oh my God. And she said it as a joke, but it was kind of like okay, this isn't actually doing me any good. And a couple of my friends said to me, you know, you're only blossing it out, but I needed to blot it out for that time. And I think that's probably what a lot of people do.
Nothing
and
like
I'm not
your kids
talking
to be able
heavy.
To pull you out of that though, right?
Oh my God, you know, talk about that. But, you know, so yeah, the first 2 months were hell on earth. And I had this pain here physical pain. And I guess it's heartbreak, isn't it? And I genuinely mean, like, it felt like seriously bad indigestion. You know, you have that burning, and every day I'd wake up and think, no, it's still here. Okay. Okay. And then slowly, I don't know, I carried on losing weight. And then I started at the gym with amazing PT at the gym with my eldest, and took her with me and said, you know, come on, let's get fit and strong together. My youngest dances flat out all the time for an amazing dance company here in the UAE. And they got their big opera show at the weekend on Sunday, actually. So she's like all geared up for that. Yeah. But me and my eldest went and started at the gym. So then that became like my physical strength. And a lot of people, you know, the endorphins that you get from the gym and everything. And then that became like the new addiction, if you like. And yeah, I think then it was the realization, well, I'm not going to get him back. And I don't want to be back in that. And the day that we both went out and said it's over, I said, I know it's over. And we both were really, well, I was, you know, I cried a lot. But then it was like, okay, now I know it's over. And I think you final, you know, and like I said about my auntie who said, flick that switch off. Once that had happened, I think kind of that inner resilience and that inner Joe, that inner strong, like independent person started to come through. And I thought, well, I have no choice now, do I? Yeah. Kind of like, you know, I've got my girls, I'm here, I could get on with it.
Did you still love him at the point that you found out?
Yeah, God, absolutely. I thought, but looking, at the time I found out, I was absolutely broken. You know, it's like 23 years of being together. It would have been our 20th wedding anniversary this year. I was devastated, absolutely devastated. Yeah. Like knocked completely floored. I was like in complete denial. And then my eldest found out a lot of stuff, which was terrible. But yeah, I absolutely adored him, worshipped the ground he walked on. But now looking back, you look back on it and think, that's not, we'd fallen out of love.
I was going to say, do you think it was actual love or
habit?
Companionship and habit?
Yeah. And I think we will eventually, once we've got through the next stage, you know, he will leave the villa in the next few days, and then that's it. Okay. You know, and then
big chapter closed.
Big chapter closed. Big chapter closed. You know, selling stuff from the villa and stuff. The girls and I have found a lovely new place. Now it's done.
Do you love him now?
I love him for the girls.
Okay.
And I wrote him quite an emotive letter that he didn't respond to, saying, there will always be a part of me and a part of my heart that will be yours because of our beautiful girls, because literally physically without one another, we wouldn't have them, would we? So there's always got to be that. Yeah. But am I in love with him anymore? Absolutely not. Okay. Do I want him back? Absolutely not.
I was just thinking that if he rode back in now, like a knight in shining armour, would you have him back?
Because I think it's the cruelty and the disdain afterwards. It's actually not the physical affair. It's if he'd have had the affair and then said, I'm really sorry, I've done this, let's work on it, let's go to marriage counselling, let's do everything to fight for each other. Of course, I'd have been there with bells on. But it was afterwards, watching me beg and you know, fall to the floor because I was such a mess. Like literally passed out because I wasn't eating and I wasn't sleeping, and God, sleep deprivation and no food. It's not a good,
and
it's
stress.
Not a good combination.
And stress,
absolute stress, and that pain that I keep saying about. Yeah. And trying to keep it together for the
stress.
girls.
You know that. Your emotion will sit inside your body and it will create something like that. That's the stress. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was a complete mess, but no. So,
how did you, because we've talked a little bit about your fitness journey and your health journey. And what about mental health? What are the things that you've done since
Do you know what? So many people said to me, you've not been to a counsellor, you've not seen anybody. I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to list, like, my friends here. There's Donna, there's Lucy, there's Jane, there's SJ.
There's going to be some, don't leave anyone out.
I know, and if I have, I'm really, really sorry. Oh. But those key people, and then Nikki, my best friend back home, who's like my sister, and Yvonne and Emma, and Bex who've just carried me through. But
yeah,
Donna and Lucy came around very, very early on. And they kept saying to me, why haven't you got back in contact? Why aren't we going out? Why aren't we going to, let's meet for breakfast? And I said, I can't meet you in public. And they were like, what? And they rocked up with coffee and they came to the door and I literally collapsed in their arms. And they were like, what the hell? What's happened? And I told them. And both of them and Alice and my friend, every day without fail, we speak. And Lucy rings me in my morning call and just checks in I'm all right. And they know I'm all right now.
You need friends like that, don't you?
Yeah, and they said it will take her a good year to get over this. And I said, oh no. My maiden name was Mullet, which I always hated. Well, my dad said when I was born, I was his little gem because I was Joanne Elizabeth Mullet. And I always say it's the mullet in me. That, you know, if you're going to do a job, just get it done.
Yeah.
What's the point in carrying on and being miserable, really?
Yeah.
And I've been miserable for a long time, right? So it's
and
kind
you
of
clearly
like,
did that with your fitness and your, you know, when you decided that you were going to change that. You seemed to do that you did that quite quickly, right?
I think it came kind of part and parcel. It was like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be this sad, lonely, overweight Joanne. That's not me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not that person. I've probably been overweight all my life to a degree. I hit a bracket this morning and I probably haven't been that since I was a teenager. Do you know?
Wow.
It's like,
how much weight have you lost since?
So 36 and a bit kilo now.
Goodness.
I know. It's insane, right? When I look back now.
Incredible.
Yeah, and of course that gives you massive confidence.
Yeah.
Of course that. But the other thing as well is having that independence. And I'd say to any woman or man out there, but especially to women, have that independence, have that bank account. I never had that bank account of my own. I never had that independence. I never had that financial independence here, whereas I did back home. And you lose yourself from that because you lose your whole identity.
Yeah.
Because you just are a housewife and a mum. And I'm just mum. I'm not Joanne Jones in my own right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a mum, a wife, a mother, you know.
You're a trailing spouse. That's what they call you.
Yeah.
And I used to work with a lot of overseas people in the corporate days. And, you know, we used to refer to their partners as trailing spouse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of like that's your identity. That's your role. It's very anonymous and kind of, it's
relentless.
Yeah, not very it's not, it's just.
And you're watching somebody soar in their career.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's all about them.
It's all about them. Of course it is. And it's all about how well he's doing and everything. And what do? You know.
So how did you regain your identity?
So I got the job. My friend would say she opened the door and I came in. But yeah, she opened the door for me for sure. And going to work every day and just, you know, putting on a pair of heels and some work clothes and then learning my new identity was like in the workplace as well, and being valued and respected by people and told, God, you're doing a really good job. And the one girl that I work with is just like, I love her to bits. We laugh and we told stories about why we're laughing. People would look at us and go like, what are you talking about? It's not even funny. And I guess just being back in that environment and having that camaraderie and that banter and working really hard. But better say that because the boss might be listening. But yeah, working really hard, but just enjoying being back in the workplace and having my identity. But then going home and still being a mum to the girls, of course.
Gives you something to own though, doesn't it? Gives you that independence.
Yeah, absolutely. And that independence is the key word. Absolutely. Being completely independent of somebody else and not being dependent on that other person for everything. I mean, every ping on the phone, you know, and where you are and what you're doing and what you're buying and, you know.
So what about now, like when you look back over the last few years, what do you feel you've learned about yourself? What additional kind of resources have you developed? Because I think that's the thing, when we go through a significant change, and I say this to all of my clients, sometimes these changes can be the most challenging periods of our lives, and we wouldn't necessarily choose for ourselves to be in this position. But when we come through the other side, we always take something away. We're always a lot stronger. We understand ourselves better. So what do you feel that you've gained through this experience?
So my friend Donna said to me, you'll come out the other side and you will feel stronger and just give it time. And I remember just thinking, no, I won't. I'm just going to be miserable and sad forever. And I think it's don't ever lose yourself.
Yeah.
Don't ever lose that identity, and don't give up yourself for someone else. And I think I'm probably moving forward going to be quite a tough cookie.
Yeah.
When it comes to
Romance?
Romance and the future, and yeah, of course, I'm a woman with desires and needs. Of course I am. I'm not going to be celibating on my own forever. No way am I. I hope I'm not anyway. That'd be really sad. But yeah, don't lose yourself for someone else is a really key thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and again, we spoke at the beginning, your story is going to resonate, and it's unfortunate, but it will resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, which is
and
sad,
I think
right? And especially
that learning
here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Living as an expat.
Yeah.
When the other partner travels a lot, can be a huge detriment to your marriage.
So always keep that level of independence somehow.
Massively, I recommend to anybody out there, keep that 100%. Financial independence, keep that identity, have part-time job or do something or a full-time job or just a career of some description that's just all yours.
Yeah.
Have something that belongs to you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I felt, that I had a home, but nothing belonged to me. Everything was in his name. Everything.
It's quite a weird thing as well, because we're talking about it now from a kind of almost like a backup plan perspective, because unfortunately if something bad does happen, you do need a plan B. But actually it's just to maintain that level of you as well, right? That level of uncertainty around who you are and having something for you, like we said, for you to own and
your own identity and your own independence and being you. Yeah. And I lost me. Completely lost me.
Do you feel like you're back? Is Joanne back?
100%.
Yes.
So my friends here would say it's Joe 2.0, but my friends back home who've known me, especially Nixie, I call her, but Nikki, and Yvonne and Emma and Bex would say, no, this is the Joanne we know and love.
Yeah, because I was just thinking that you've gone through so much over a number of years. Do you feel like you're a lot like who Joanne used to be?
Yeah, strong and independent. And her plus more.
Yeah.
Her plus more, definitely. This has definitely not defined me or never defined me. It's totally changed me.
Yeah.
And I never thought going through something so heartbreaking and so demoralising, I think, as well, would bring me to a much, much better place. Yeah. Much, much stronger place. And yeah, the future's bright, definitely.
That's weird. I actually, as you were talking earlier, I thought those words.
Did you?
The future's bright.
The future is bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, for being so open, because the things that you've talked about today are really deep, they're really personal, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing your story. I think, the future is bright. You're an extremely strong woman. You've come through something which is really, really deep trauma, and I think you need to be really proud of yourself, and I think you need to give yourself a lot of credit for just how you've handled yourself in this situation as well, and just how strong a woman you're being for yourself, but also for your family. Yeah. And I just want to ask you one final question on that note, in that case. If there is anyone that's going through something like this right now, maybe they're at the start, they've just realised that, the partner has done something, or, maybe they're going through weight challenges, maybe it's a combination of both, like it had been for you, plus, family bereavement as well on top of that. If there's someone out there who's experiencing this, what would you say to them right now?
Like, it does get better, and you will go to a very, very dark place, and you'll think you can't get out of it, but pull on your friends, pull on your family. Haven't even mentioned my uncle, which is terrible. My dad's brother, who took on the role of, he said, I guess I step in where daddy would have been. Oh. And he stepped in very, very early on. So I would say to everybody, to answer your question, is pull on those resources. And if you're going through that really bad time, or you've discovered something about your marriage, don't stay in it. Don't stay in it to please them. And trust me, you'll come out stronger. Yeah, you will. But pull on those people that want to help you. Don't turn them away. Don't push people away. And I didn't. I did for a bit. I did for a few weeks, because I kind of didn't want anyone to know. And I think that's probably where people who are in it, you kind of don't want to admit that, oh my God, this is like, this is a letdown. This is like, our marriage is over. Yeah. That's not what you want. Of course it's not what you want in life. But it's okay. You come out the other side.
Yeah. There's no shame in asking for help, is there?
There's no shame in asking for help. And do you know what? There's no shame in the fact that a marriage is broken down. You know, it happens in life, unfortunately. But you'll come out stronger. I certainly have.
Yeah.
And thank God for my girls. You know, 100%. They've definitely, and they're incredible. So I want to end on saying thank you to them as well, because they are just literally my inspiration, the pair of them.
Bless you.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you
so welcome.
for bearing your soul, and yeah, thank you for being you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is me now. So yeah, stronger. Future's bright, right?
The future is bright.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.